career nominees and 6 women on the non-career list, reflecting the administration's gradual move towards gender balance in foreign postings. Among the 17 non-career nominees are notable political figures such as Reno Omokri, former presidential aide, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, former INEC chair, former Lagos State Governor Otumba Femi Pedro, former Aviation Minister Chief Femi Fani-Kaide, ex-Enugu State Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi, and Senator Jimoh Ibrahim, amongst others. The non-career include Ogbonnaya Kalu, Reno Omokri, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, Erelu BC, Angela Adebayo, Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi, and Tasiu Musa Megari. Others from Plateau include Yakubu N. Gambo, Professor Nora Ladi Datut, Otumba Femi Pedro, Chief Femi Fani-Kaide, Barrister Nkechi Linda Ufochukwu, Fatima Florence Ajimobi, Lola Akonde, Grace Bent, Dr. Victor Okeze Ikwazu, Senator Jimoh Ibrahim, Ambassador Paul Oga Adiku, and obviously Enebechi Monica Okuchukwu, representing Abia State. Now, the marketing firm handling the sale of Nigeria's presidential Boeing 737-700 business jet has withdrawn the aircraft's listing. The jet previously listed on the company's website could no longer be found when correspondent actually visited the website. Now, in a very recent response, the manager of market research at Jet HQ, Laurie Beringer, confirmed that the company no longer has the aircraft listed for sale and directed further inquiries to the Nigerian government. The media aide to the National Security Advisor, Ismail Garuba, promised to respond, but however is yet to do so after making the commitment. At the time, email exchanges between correspondents and Jet HQ indicated that the aircraft was still available. Jet HQ's market research assistant Marinil Novo confirmed that the jet remains available but referred further inquiries to Beringer. Beringer later stated that the firm would not disclose details beyond availability, describing such information as proprietary. Now, in a recent development, since for the past 3 days, Operation Tiger Base in Imo State has been actually trending on the world news at 6. We disclosed this yesterday. Also, in the evening rush, we also talked about it. However, we reached out to the CSP, the Public Relations Officer of Imo State Command, and that is Mr. Henry. We spoke with him via an interview today, and he had quite a lot to give us in terms of detail concerning what transpired. This is DSP Henry Okoye. He's a Public Relations Officer, Imo State Command, and he said all of the allegations are untrue.
I'm reaching out to you at Tiger Base. We've been hearing a lot of reports about it, and we don't want to talk about it until we hear from you to know what the true reality on ground is. How do we have a conversation virtually so that we can correct some of the narratives that some of the youths are having complaining about, sir? Yes, sir.
Let me make it clear that majority of the allegations you see flying online are misleading. They are not true. Some of the complaints you see online are not true. We're doing investigations. These people are under police command. They are not working in isolation. We supervise them. And I will tell you that place is not a slaughterhouse. People that are saying that kidnapping is a slaughterhouse, it's not true. You get it?
Yes, sir.
It's not true. And even tomorrow I intend to go with journalists to visit the premises, take all the documents in detail, if possible, if they can take all the, you will see there's nothing like that. The place is an enclosed compound. I think a compound of like maybe 300 by 300 meters. And it's adequately there. In the darkness, you see that people are being buried in shallow graves.
Yes.
It's not true.
All right, sir.
Now, if you know for some time, you will understand the kind of security challenges.
Yes, sir.
That you will face at that faced in the past. Particularly in the hands of the members of the Eastern Security Network, where security officers are being killed on daily basis. Innocent human lives are being attacked in the name of this ESN enforcing this atom trend. And that is because of our operation to respond this to this thing. To work with the military, the ESN, and other security agents. Now, when you go to a place
it across social media. These youth who have had experiences say they're extorted from. The females are gang raped, the men are killed and tortured and waterboarded until they peak blood.
Have you seen the result that they command?
Yes, that is why I called you, sir. That's why I called.
You see extortion. You see extortion there. You take the corporate paragraph. You see anything like extortion there. Because we acknowledge the very fact that these complaints are there. Because there are some complaints that we actually acknowledge that this plan is happening. Because we have done investigation in the past. We have arrested one or two few alien officers that are involved in extortion. Some of them have been dismissed, some have been reduced their rank. We've done all those things in the past. So I cannot come out as a PIO and tell people that exposure is not happening. It is going to be very, very foolish of me to say that there are no complaints of exposure. Where I even received this complaint personally.
I'm listening.
So what we are saying is that anti-kidnapping is not a dungeon, it's not a slaughterhouse, it's a legitimate primary police command. Whose mandate is to handle high-profile criminal matters like kidnapping, armed robbery, and other violent crimes.
All right, but is it possible for the unit to investigate all these claims, at least for posterity's sake? Just investigate.
We have set up a panel already to investigate extortion. Therefore, people that have complaints of stealing, they should please come to us with complaints. If they cannot come to us, we have the first headquarters. And if they know police command, if it's any more command, we are not working on our own. If they are afraid that we cannot handle the matter here, we have the zonal command, which is a new line, the line. They can access to the first headquarters, or even the police having permission to make the report. But I will tell you, 80% of the time when the people are being killed, if you look in there, these are hardened criminals that engage in gunfire with the police, and then they are surviving the cost of operation. The families will not have rights that will kill their people. Because even criminals have families, if you don't know.
All right, sir. Please, what is your name, sir?
My name is Okoye Henry, I'm the Police Public Relations Officer in State Command.
Okoye Henry, Police Public Relations Officer of Imo State Command. All right, sir.
So, tomorrow I would have done it today, but it was because of the serious economic storm that is ongoing today. I reached out to civil stations and from media house to follow you personally to ask you nothing.
All right.
So they say they are in another function. They are covering in my economic function.
All right, sir. I can.
All right, we intend to invite DSP Henry Okoye, the Public Relations Officer for Imo State, virtually to give us details of all the accusations online. There are names and pictures of some of these police supposed anti-kidnapping squad officers on the social media streets, and there are fears that this could be a target on their lives. These individuals have been said to be into a lot of vices in Imo State, especially at Tiger Base. Also, a very close friend of Hope Uzodimma, whose name is Chinasa Nwaneri. They said he's a very close ally of Hope Uzodimma, that anything Hope Uzodimma asks him to do, he does, that he's the one responsible for Operation Tiger Base in Imo State. We do hope that the Public Relations Officer DSP Henry Okoye will definitely have our time so we can have more clarity into these issues, and we'll compile a list of those who have had complaints, whose families have died in their custody, those who are also pending trial, as well as those who had been tortured indiscriminately without any legal representation, who turned out to be innocent at the end of the day. We'll intend to go deep into the issue while we try to enforce the fundamental human rights of Nigerians and continue to ensure that criminals no longer hold this space. Meanwhile, the African Democratic Congress has strongly criticized President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for allegedly kickstarting his 2027 re-election bid while the country remains under a state of emergency. In a statement signed by the party's National Publicity Secretary, Malam Bolaji Abdullahi, the ADC called it a cynically insensitive action that makes nonsense of the emergency declaration itself. The party criticized the president's distribution of branded vehicles to campaign agents across the country, even as kidnapped citizens languish in captivity and security forces struggle to contain escalating violence and banditry. The ADC stated that by launching his re-election campaign under the guise of renewed hope ambassadors, the president is acting more like a presidential candidate focused on re-election than a president of a beleaguered nation under emergency rule, with worsening security crisis engulfing the country. The party also alleges that the president's action is a patent violation of the Electoral Act and the INEC timetable. Elsewhere, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, in the 2023 general election, says the coalition with the African Democratic Congress is facing setbacks due to unresolved issues around zoning and rotation of key political offices. Obi, who made the remarks during a YouTube interview with Advocacy for Good Governance on Wednesday, emphasized the need for clarity and consensus within the alliance. The former Anambra State governor, who insisted that he remains a member of the Labour Party, stressed that the coalition must settle internal disagreements and align on a common vision for Nigeria. Meanwhile, the governor of Abia State, Alex Oti, has denied claims that he is planning to defect to the APC following his recent visit to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The governor clarified that his trip to the presidential villa had nothing to do with politics, but was strictly about the ongoing efforts to secure the release of the detained leader of Nnamdi Kanu at Sokoto prison. The clarification was issued by his special advisor on media and publicity, Ferdinand Ekeoma, who faulted allegations made by a former commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs in Abia State, Charles Ogbonnaya. Ogbonnaya had alleged that Oti's visit to Aso Rock was part of a political arrangement ahead of the 2027 general elections. Ekeoma described the rumor as misleading and entirely false. He explained that Oti had visited Kanu at the Sokoto Correctional Center on Sunday, November 30, 2025, and then proceeded to meet the president 2 days later as part of long-standing engagements with the federal government concerning Kanu's case. According to him, the governor has been holding discussions with federal authorities for over 2 years with the aim of securing Kanu's release. Ekeoma noted that the matter remains highly sensitive to the state government, making it important to correct any misleading narrative. Now, based on the recent ambassadorial list which was resubmitted to the National Assembly, an All Progressives Congress chieftain, Denge Joseph Ono, has urged the Department of State Services to withhold security clearance for Reno Mokri, warning that doing otherwise could undermine national security and complicate an ongoing treasonable felony prosecution. Speaking with journalists in Abuja on Wednesday, Ono said clearing Omokri, currently undergoing DSS screening as an ambassadorial nominee, would create grave and avoidable consequences for both the agency and the country. He argued that Omokri's past public allegations against the president far exceeds those made by activist Omoyele Sowore, who is being prosecuted on charges that include treasonable felony for repeatedly labeling the president a criminal. Ono said Omokri went significantly farther between 2022 and 2024 when he repeatedly described the president as a drug baron and claimed to possess documentary evidence that he vowed to reveal in court. He said granting the former presidential aide security clearance would contradict the basis of the ongoing prosecution against Sowore and strengthen arguments of selective justice. He says, and I quote, "Clearing Omokri sends a message that calling the president a drug baron is compatible with high diplomatic office, while someone who made a less detailed allegation is in court." He warned that such an outcome could damage the DSS credibility, expose Nigeria to diplomatic embarrassment, adding that several foreign missions are already uneasy about Omokri's nomination. He cited Section 172 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, which requires ambassadors to be persons of proven integrity. Ono said the clearance could lead to rejection of agreement by most countries, a negative international press coverage. You're currently listening to the World News right here on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. We'll take a very short break. When we return, we'll head into a news analysis segment. Do kindly stay with us. Barrister Frank, good evening and thank you for joining us today. Yes, thank you. Barrister, very quickly, I'm going to start off from the political scene. So, Peter Obi has eventually disclosed that his agreement with the coalition is shaky. The plan was for him to be part of the coalition for 2027. But according to him right now, he said that there are setbacks in the coalition, in that is in the ADC, because of due to unresolved issues around zoning and rotation of key political officers. Now, obviously, right from the onset, we've heard that the ADC was for Atiku Abubakar. Atiku has visibly joined. El Rufai has also joined. They're now members of the ADC. Peter Obi had told us that by November, we'll be informed on what political party he'll be running with. And up till now, he didn't tell us, but he has insisted that he remains with the Labour Party. Just last week, we saw Dati Baba Ahmed with Julius Aburi, the contentious Labour Party chair. And despite court orders, they have begun to plan congresses. Now, as it stands at that very interview with Dati Baba Ahmed, Peter Obi's vice in 2023, he insisted that Peter Obi is still a very staunch member of the Labour Party. The followers of Peter Obi are still confused because they don't trust the Labour Party, and a couple of them are saying that it would be good for Peter Obi to become a VP to Atiku Abubakar, and others believe that if he pulled 6 million in 2023, why would he step down to be a VP for 2027? Others say that if they run in different political parties, it would be a very clean way for President Tinubu. However, what's your take on this?
Well, politics is what it takes. You'll never have no inform and expect everything. Most times the issues of phone will adjust the game. Politics is like in a game where I is opposed to keep getting your answers. As it is, I think we is ABC. The beginning has said he has not reached the level that is the level of coalition. I believe that everything is limited on blocks. Everything is still fluid and things will be incomplete by the time we enter next year, like then 2026. Next year that will be a major year for politicking and preparatory for election in 2024. Because particular market has been something will take place in 2026. And it is just clear as much as it is not too late to plan, but I think it is too early to worry. Not too late to plan, but it is too late for anyone, too early to worry. Better context and this.
Okay, it is not too late. It is too early to worry.
Yeah, it is not too late to plan.
Okay.
It is too early to worry. That's what it is.
All right, but there's been quite a number of thoughts or conversations surrounding this expose during the interview he had with the Advocacy for Good Governance on YouTube. A couple of persons said that he seems undecisive. A couple of persons also believe that Atiku, who has worked to form the ADC, would not step aside for Peter Obi to be given the presidential ticket if Peter Obi did not rally around like he did to put the party together, despite all the challenges they had. Others also said that for Peter Obi, the kind of followership and aura and clout that he possessed in 2023 may not be the same thing now because of the internal issues within the obedience movement and the bully. A couple of people think he has been so bullied to the point that even his tribe is under a stethoscope where they're being monitored, and a couple of little things are attributed to what is going on with him and them, and that has kind of put Peter Obi in his shell. So they feel that he's not mobilized enough, he has not done the needful as an opposition, and maybe he's too weak for the kind of politics that Nigeria practices. Do you also believe that line of thought or that kind of argument from others?
If anybody says that he's too weak when it comes to politics, I think that's right. Our politics is different from the politics of human race. We expect to become like animals in the forest before we know that politics is a process whereby leaders are being chosen and leaders are thrown up. And what is most important is that the people must know what they want. Some of those things
trying to establish connection with Barrister Fred and Zako. We had a network interruption. There's been quite a lot of conversation since yesterday. Mr. Peter Obi had that interview with Advocacy for Good Governance on YouTube, and there has been a lot of talks. Even those within his movement, the Obedient movement, they've been kind of destabilized and worried as to the non-confirmation of him actually joining the ADC. Al-Rufai has also said and insisted that Peter Obi had better join the ADC. I think when he was also joining, I think that was 2 or 3 days ago, with his membership card. Now, do you think they're forcing Peter Obi to become a vice to Atiku? Do you think it's a force? And if Peter Obi doesn't run with the ADC, are we seeing a clean slide for Tinubu, though other strong opposition to run that race in 2027?
You with all without any fear of contradiction, as people like Obi and a couple of other notable men and women are ready to put in the efforts to pull Nigeria out of the current quagmire that we find ourselves. So I think nobody should worry if Mr. Obi decides to. There could even be a measure of ADC and the Labour Party, even if not by name. They could make in principle. They could align as we approach the election. Just like all the political parties align when an election is coming. So that's why I told you that there's still enough time for critical planning to be done. But I can tell you that a lot is going on the ground. By the time they come to the surface, Nigerians will see where we are going to.
All right, Barrister, thank you very much. I have tried to reach out to Yunusa Tanko, to Peter Obi himself, actually, and he smiles and keeps his thoughts to himself. He has not really said anything other than what he said at the interview with Advocacy for Good Governance, and others are already calling on Donald Duke to actually express his intention to run for 2027. But like you said, a month actually makes a huge difference when it comes to politics. Barrister, the president resent names of nominees to the Senate. It includes non-career ambassadors. It includes the past sole administrator of River State and former chief of naval staff, Ibok Ete Ekwa Ibas, former presidential aide, Ita Enang, former Imo State First Lady Chioma Ohakim, and former Minister of Interior and former Chief of Army Staff Abdurrahman Dambazao. The nominations were announced today during plenary after Senate President Godswill Akpabio read the president's letter on the floor of the chamber. And the president urged the Senate to give swift consideration to the nominees to help fill key diplomatic positions, also insisting that they should be swift with the names as well earlier of Reno Mokri and others. Now, there have been divided conversation within the APC concerning the confirmation of Reno Mokri as an ambassador in any front representing Nigeria. They said integrity is needed, and that if the president allows the Senate to affirm Reno Mokri, then all the things that Omoyele Sowore has been saying, all the spurious claims and allegations about the person of the president may come to be true, or a couple of persons may say it's actually quite valid. Barrister, what do you think about this?
There is a reason why Mr. President nominated Reno. He may be his own personal pick. And I can tell you that Reno will be confirmed. Do you know why?
Why?
Mr. President wants Reno to use the same mouth that he used to call Kekere and call Kekere. The same mouth that he used to insult him, he will use to run down his image. The same mouth that he used to call him Ole, call him dog blood, call him dog blood. He will use to go and tell the rest of the world that Mr. President is a saint. I can tell you, Esther, that Reno will be confirmed. And this is a very hot soup because all through his career as an ambassador, who continued to answer questions of issues that he raised with his own mouth. And as he was raising those issues, he was raising them with documents. So it's even ready that it's going to be a trouble. The business will sit there in that front and be laughing at him. I'm laughing at him. At the end of the day, the president will say, the laugh. Because internet will not forget. The same system that exposed Reno's bad mouthing of Mr. President, messing up on the evidence when he was the president. The same Reno, I got things. He will begin to massage the name, the ego, and the integrity of the same man he called all sorts of names. So don't expect that he will not be confirmed, though. He's a special pick, Mr. President. Daniel Bwala called him lots of horrible names before he became president. What did Daniel Bwala say? Is he not singing his praises and coming for him? Anybody who has insulted Tinubu in the past, that is part of his political strategy. He will hand the person with an assignment, and the person will now go and begin to sing like a parrot. As Tom Cruise lost his sense of direction. And at the end of the day, who gains and who wins? Mr. President gains. You insulted him yesterday, and you're praising him today. He has gained. It's you who is unstable that has lost. So in this appointment, it is Reno who lose his integrity, where Daniel Bwala has lost his own, and any other person who has personally insulted his person. If you criticize his office or what he has done, is a different ballgame. But when you insult his own person, he now brings you to come and use that same mouth to praise him. And that's what Mr. President is doing. I tell you that he is succeeding as far as those charlatans are concerned.
All right, Barrister, I remember yesterday we spoke about the Tiger Base in Imo State, where allegations were coming forth about how there's extrajudicial killings ongoing there and no legal representation for persons they consider to be accused of one crime or the other. And that anti-kidnapping unit have been facing a lot of backlash across social media, like I said, for the past 4 days. Close allies of Hope Uzodimma, their pictures and names are circulating on social media. They're the ones who are in charge of operation of Tiger Base, the anti-kidnapping unit, and also other considerable things of insanity that has taken place. I spoke with Henry Okoye, the public relations officer, earlier today, and he said all of that is a lie. He said that the anti-kidnapping squad has really been ongoing in clearing out operatives who had, when I mean operatives, he called them ESN. He said these persons have been attacking communities and killing people in their communities. He also said they don't have any slaughterhouse in Tiger Base. They don't have any graveyards at the back of the police station, as a lot of persons have been saying. That all of that is lies. That these criminals, as he referred to them, that those agitating, do not want the presence of the army, do not want the presence of the police. They just want to run amok and render the states chaotic. They don't want any form of law and order there. What would you say in regards to this?
It is very easy for people in government to deny when they are accused of wrongdoings. The first person is denial. They are not the first, they are not the last. Government officials, especially those who are saddled with certain sensitive responsibilities, the first reaction is for them to deny. And that is why it is important for a country that really wants to heal and really wants to develop will not take such a denial seriously. Instead, they will conduct diligent investigation.
Yes, he said they were going to set up a team to investigate.
It is an allegation that there a graveyard that a slaughter field, and they open up the place and let independent assessors come and examine. It's as simple as that. You don't controvert an assertion by mere word of mouth to expose the fact and let people see that who is telling who is telling the lie. Is it the blogger, the internet blogger that is infuriating the situation, or is it the people of Tiger, what do you call them?
Tiger Base, the anti-kidnapping unit, yes.
And are they the ones that are not telling Nigerians the truth? So when they say there is no smoke without fire, then let us see where the fire is. Whether the smoke is a smoke screen, whether there's a fire that is bigger than the smoke. And that's why everything that happens in any single country is subjected to investigation. So that investigation is not just to find out what happened, but also know how to nip it in the bud so that a negative circumstance or a negative consequence will not arise. So that the affliction will not arise a second time. And that is not the essence of investigation. And not just when there's an accusation, whether real or imaginary, you just wish it away and call the people who are accusing you names. No, it doesn't end there. A serious country will investigate and find out. So, if Tiger-based anti-kidnapping unit saying that all those allegations are prove their innocence, and then the people who are accusing them also prove their guilt.
Well, Barrister, he has said that those who have issues, those who have been hurt, victims of the oppressions and the operators of that Tiger-based unit should submit all of their complaints. In fact, there is an investigation that is going to be launched. That's what he said. He said as of tomorrow, they are inviting the press to come take a tour of that Tiger-based unit and the environment, that there are no shallow graves. So there are calls on victims, persons who have gone through the ordeals in the hands of these guys, to bring up their testimonials so that this can be looked into. Otherwise, it will be summed up to be allegations without evidence. However, is it possible?
I hope the investigators are not the Tiger-based people themselves, because they cannot investigate themselves. Nobody is faulty in his own estimation or when he assesses himself. I'm meeting a student fail exam when he is the examiner of that exam. So a student-minded government, I expected the governor to raise a judicial panel or an administrative panel of inquiry, because it's a very serious allegation.
Very serious.
When they are said that they have a minefield and that they are killing and burying people illegally, it's very serious allegation that warrant a judicial panel of inquiry, so that people will not have confidence to come and testify before the panel. You can't expect them to come and testify before the men themselves. I mean, that is a Shabbat now.
But Barrister, the allegations are that what they go through there, the kind of things that they put on young people there, is worse than what we thought SARS was doing at the time. That's terrible.
The governor was set up an administrative government of Imo State. Set up the House of Assembly must rise to the occasion. The Attorney General of the state must rise to the occasion. If the governor is busy, in Abuja and elsewhere in the country, waiting for Mr. President, those ones he left behind must rise to the occasion and set up an administrative panel of a party to look into those allegations. It's as serious as it can be, and they should not sweep it under the carpet and say people should come and take a tour. What kind of tour are they going to take? Is it a tour where they have cleaned the house? That you come, what are you likely going to see? It's from the house that is fully cleaned. An administrative or judicial panel of inquiry should immediately be set up to look into those allegations and complaints by the citizens of Imo State. It is very, very important, and that is the only way that one can begin to have some level of confidence in whatever result that will come out from such panel. This panel will be headed by a no-nonsense judicial officer, and serving or retired. Most likely a retired judicial officer. So that we unearth the truth and know how to get to right the wrongs for the future and for the posterity of the people of Imo State.
Barrister Fred Nzako, thank you so much for giving us your time in the World News at 6. I sincerely do appreciate your input.
Thanks, sir.
And just before we go, President Vladimir Putin has said Moscow disagrees with parts of a U.S. plan on how to end the Russia-Ukraine war after talks with U.S. negotiators in the Kremlin. He did not name the sticking points. At least two major points of contention remain: the fate of Ukrainian territory seized by Russian forces and security guarantees for Ukraine. President Donald Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff, who led the U.S. team at Tuesday's talks, is due to meet Ukraine's negotiators in Florida. Trump said the talks were reasonably good, adding it was too soon to say what would happen, as it does take two to tango. In his India Today interview ahead of a state visit to Delhi, Putin said Moscow had not seen a modified version of the U.S. peace plan before his nearly 5-hour talks with Witkoff and Jared Kushner. Now, he again stressed that Ukrainian troops must withdraw from the country's eastern Donbas region, even from the areas still under their control. Russian forces now control some 85% of the Donbas. Putin's senior foreign policy advisor and key negotiator Yuri Ushakov earlier said the Kremlin talks produced no compromise on ending the war. Ushakov also implied that the Russian negotiating position had been strengthened thanks to what Moscow said were its recent successes on the battlefield. When asked by reporters if Witkoff and Kushner believed Putin wanted an end to the war, Trump said the Kremlin leader would like to end the war. That was their impression. And that's a wrap on the World News at 6 right here on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. My name is Esther Wachuku. Just stay with us for the evening rush at 7 o'clock. Good evening and thank you for listening.